Hey everyone, happy Saturday, 9 o'clock Pacific, 9 a.m. Pacific. Waiting for folks to join, see what's going on in the world. All right. Hey, hey. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Talk about the real estate market, what's going on. Any questions from the course? Give it a few minutes here for folks to jump on the live stream. Good morning, Wendy. Any burning questions from anybody out there as people join that I can start writing down? Hello, Roman. David. Charles. Morning. All right, 13 people on. Any questions as we get started? I have some topics I could always riff on for a little bit, but this is for you. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy them. I'm glad somebody watches them. Let's see, what does it say here? Oh, go down. Busy week, just to finish part one. Yep, that's what I'm trying to teach there. Morning, everyone. So I'll just riff on a couple of things and we'll see if any questions come in. First thing to kind of riff on is the market is clearly changing. It may not be changing as fast or in the ways that maybe we expected. I think the things that I'm seeing first in my market is there's a wave of listings coming on that's kind of artificial, and that is new home construction. A lot of new home developers have shut down their open houses, you know, the houses with all the flags, and they're just listing stuff. So that is something that we've seen. It's really been an artificial bounce in listings in my market. And frankly, agents in my market don't get it, at least most of them, right? They're quoting, oh, listings are up, listings are up. I'm like, yeah, but it's not stuff that makes sense. Yeah, loans are hard right now. I've had a couple of deals close. I sell my pride of ownership stuff. And really what's closing today, at least again, one guy's experience, is stuff that's done, right? Pretty, passes inspections, no issues. And also for somebody who has less than 4 rentals, right? If you're an investor and you own a dozen or something, it's tough right now. But yeah, lending is tough. Lending will probably get tougher. I think lending gets tougher through the summer because there are so many banks trying to figure out what's going on. But just remember, as you watch lending, when lending gets tougher, it's harder to get a yes answer, but that will turn around. So it will come. All right, what do we got? What's next? Okay, that's Wendy's question. Would I avoid multifamilies for the next 12 months? Avoid's a tough word, and I don't know what you mean by multifamilies, right? A duplex is technically a multifamily, or are you talking commercial multifamily, right? So we have to watch vocabulary. But in general, I don't avoid anything. I put every deal in the same spreadsheet that's in the course. That spreadsheet that you guys have in the course, I think it's step 2 or phase 2 or whatever, section 2. That's what I use every day. I can tell you, I assume that multifamily won't be a great investment for the next 18 to 24 months, but an assumption does me no good. I will put them in the same spreadsheet. So I look at them. They're frankly overpriced. But as I shared this morning on my daily live stream, Fannie Mae is expecting, what was it? Where are my notes? Where are my notes? I think it's 25%. I actually don't have my notes in front of me anymore. Must have thrown them away. I think Fannie said 25% of multifamily loans they expect to go into forbearance. If that's true, first, that's frightening. And second, that means that opportunities could be 12 months out. We really got to watch this forbearance. Because forbearance is not the cure-all. Forbearance is really not the cure-all for multifamily. So it's something to watch. 24 months, probably too far. 12 months, probably more. It's going to be, we just got to watch. Put them in the spreadsheet. Airbnb questions. Let's see what we got here. What do you think of deals for Airbnb owners now that they can make the yield above AAV rent now? Well, I think Airbnb owners, assuming you're referring to people that are already own them, I think most of them are in trouble. Lots of Airbnb folks come to me, communicate with me via the Facebook or YouTube channels, and most are in trouble. Some have pivoted to furnished monthly rentals, which feels good today, but I think that stuff's going to get trashed, and they're going to realize it was not the thing it should be. I think there are some Airbnb markets that get smoked. Markets where there's no real industry. I know there's a bunch of people. Anna Kelly, who I think I interview on Wednesdays, she talks about buying in the beach communities, as does Greg, who I talk to on Mondays. They're both expecting deals to come from frustrated Airbnb sellers, and I think a lot of the forbearance is from Airbnb owners who can't make the numbers work. They overpaid. They bet on a model that was sexy and trendy. And sexy and trendy doesn't always work. So I think there's going to be a lot of forced Airbnb sellers. And I think a lot of the foreclosures are actually legacy Airbnb units. Because they're not attached to it. There's no emotional feel. That's what happened in the '08 crisis, is once there's no emotion involved, it's just let it go, let the bank have it. So I expect high-priced markets like the Bay Area, SoCal, and New York to be in trouble for lots of reasons. Airbnb is a reason. One, people are realizing they can work from anywhere. I mean, how many companies are coming out now and saying, you know what, this work from home stuff's kind of cool. We don't have to have this office for as big anymore, right? We can consolidate floors. They'll always have some office. But man, this work from home thing is, if Wall Street's coming out and saying, hey, my traders are working just fine, you don't need to live in New York or Manhattan. You can get out of this crazy expensive place. I think the Bay Area's smoked once tech companies start laying off. New York's already smoked. LA's smoked. It's going to be tough. Airbnb is just one of the events, I think. All right, keep the questions coming. I'll just keep scrolling down. Yeah, I'd love to stay up to date in New York. My daughter's in New York, as probably most of you know by now. So she's in Queens, so we're watching it. Yeah, I think everything I've read about the New York market is, again, it's a tale of two markets, right? If you're below the median, stuff is still transacting, but all the high end stuff, not good. Not good. Yep. Yeah. The whole goal of the course is to get used. Step one is getting focused, learn a market, discipline, and then to start comparing stuff. So you are on track. Yeah. Wholesalers. How about that? Suddenly wholesalers that thought they had a strong buyers list are starting to reach out to more and more people. I've seen that as well. I would also tell you wholesalers are like homeowners, they're remembering yesterday's price. I looked at, I want to call it 11 deals from wholesalers in the last week or so. None of them are even close to what I would pay for. They're all, they need to realize that getting a contract is not when they get paid, it's when it's sold. But so many of these wholesalers were just flying by the seat of their pants the last 5 years and making money. They didn't really run a real business. I don't know what that 15% means. Maybe the question's up here. Is the question up here? Yeah, I don't know what that question means. Oh, where do I post my turnkey rentals for sale? I don't have to post them anywhere. People follow me on my channel and say, I want it. So yeah, I don't have to list them. I don't put them in MLS. I actually sell most of them before I finish. It's pretty cool. I don't really do a lot of them. I do like 20 or 25 a year. I do have 3 in the works right now though, so that's fun. See, look at that. Possible owner financing. Folks, I'm telling you, the market's changing. I saw my first all caps listing that said must sell. Was that last week? I think it was last week. It's changing. Watch the market. This is a little window of time where it's kind of topsy-turvy, but the longer this extends on, the MLS is going to be where to hunt. The fact that you all are taking the course and looking in the MLS, you're going to see it change before anybody else. It's pretty awesome. Yep, owner financing is going to be awesome. I'm going to buy all those I can. Would you ask a realtor to help with seller financing deals? So yeah, I absolutely work with realtors to write up offers, especially if they're like the last listing where it says seller financing available. So yes, there's actually, they can use, at least in California, it's called the CAR form, California Association of Realtors. It's the standard offer form. They can do it right on that. You have to walk them through it because not everybody knows how to do it, but it's in the standard form. As far as getting them paid, what I always do is make sure my down payment is enough to pay the commission. So for example, if it's a $100,000 home, I would make sure I put $6,000 down. That means as the process goes through, the seller can pay the agent out of your down payment. I always want to pay the person who brought me the deal. So I will always make sure if an agent brings me the deal, they get paid. And I won't ask them to discount or anything. I want them to be paid full rate. So in the case of a 100K house, 6K down, might be 7K down. The seller may walk away with nothing. The agent will get paid and escrow will be paid. So the seller won't come out of pocket for anything, but the agent would absolutely be paid. And as far as monthly payments, that's where you get to be creative. I've done payments at 0% interest. I've done payments, I think the highest I've paid in the last year is 5%. I try to get as low as possible. It's the only answer. I always start at 0. That's where I start. Do I always get it? No, I rarely get it, but if you don't ask, you don't get it. So what I try to do is I try to keep the payment 40% of rent. So if rent is $1,000, I would like to start my payment at $400. That's how I start. It's really that simple. I don't overcomplicate it. I don't run a big fancy mortgage spreadsheet. But that's where I start. And I tell the seller, hey, I own a lot of units. I can't operate this building or this house if I pay you more than $400. And then I go from there. Then it's how many years. I go for 30. Sometimes I go to 15. I accept 20. Right? I try not to overcomplicate it. I just tell the seller, hey, I can only get $1,000 rent for this. That means I have to pay you less than $400. And that's kind of how I do it. Airbnb announced an optional 24-hour clean. Yeah, man, Airbnb is. Oof. I don't know. They want to go public this year. I think they have to, just given their expenses. I wonder if Airbnb is going to be the next WeWork, where they get right up to the end of going public and then they go poof. I wonder, man. SoftBank's getting punished with that WeWork investment. Hey, Austin. I put one of the videos up this morning, or actually maybe up. They're scheduled to go up this morning. The other two, one of the other two is actually going up later today. It's still in the works. So the videos go up on my channel. Yeah, I don't hide anything. It just all goes up there. How much cash reserves? I don't know that I think in months. But I mean, the rule of thumb is 6 months is fine. I like to have 5 to 8K put away per house. I don't know how that works, given payments, given mortgage payments, all of that. But if you've read our book, know our story, I'm very conservative, and that includes reserves. You must have them. And I think one of my rules is never spend your reserves. I think that I'd put that in the book. I don't know what market you're in. I think 10% cash on cash or yield, as you'll see in my spreadsheet's a great goal. I don't know your market. I would tell you not to chase. There are some Midwest markets that have promised 10% returns that are going to turn out to be horrible investments. You got to watch Excel because Excel lies. Sometimes when you put a double digit return on it, it forces you to look in a portion of the market that maybe is less desirable. So it's hard for me to say. I mean, you have to have a goal. That's part of the course. 10% is great. I actually had a 15% yield during 2010. So, I mean, it just needs to change. Like if you have a 10% rule the next couple of years, you probably get some deals. If you had a 10% rule in 2018, you'd get nothing, right? So you have to adjust your yield, or what you call cash on cash, to the market you're in. I think the market you're in for the next 2 years, probably realistic. Again, but that's hard to say without knowing what market, geographically market you're in. I don't really answer LLC questions. I think it's malpractice for some person that doesn't know you at all to give advice. I have that relationship, or I have that guy usually on Fridays from the Nexus group. They seem to do the right things. They ask you lots of questions. They kind of make me feel good. So that's why I talk to them every Friday. Though you got to talk to someone in that realm. The only things I'll say about LLCs is you have to watch lending, because lending today is harder in an LLC than your name. I know we've done a video with the Nexus group that talks about getting an umbrella policy, which is something I recommend. So yeah, I don't answer LLC questions. It's too much. I don't know enough details to give really any recommendations. But I will say umbrella insurance is good. And until somebody tells me otherwise, the Nexus group seems to do all the right things. They ask you 20 questions. They don't charge you for the phone call. They seem to do the right thing. So I would talk to them. Tell them that you got it from me, and I think they give you something for free, by the way. Okay, let's see. Greatest wealth made is a boom and bust markets. Yeah, that's a good question. So yes, absolutely. I think the video you're referring to is how to put $1 million in your bank. And one of the ways to do that is you invest in a boom and bust market. And there probably is no better market that's boom or bust than Las Vegas. Las Vegas is going to bust this time. I think it'll bust worse than '08. And if you're going to research a market and you want to go all in on something, Vegas could be it. But you are going to have to be so far out on the risk curve because you are gambling, right? Literally gambling, no pun intended. All right? Vegas may not be back for a decade. But if you go all in at the bottom and you pick up some stuff and you can finance them, man, you can make life-changing money. But hopefully you know me by now that as a conservative investor, it's not for most people. It would not be where I buy my first rental. Man, at least, no, it's bad. The market's, they may have to close some of those towers for years. There's going to be nobody living in them. It's just like New York. I think people in Vegas are holding on tight, hoping it comes back. That hope's going to go away soon. They're going to go somewhere else. They're just going to leave. It's a desert, for heaven's sakes. It's going to be really miserable in August if you don't have a job and it's 115 degrees. It's going to be bad. But yes, that's what I'm referring to, is if you can swoop into Vegas and buy stuff at 20 cents on the dollar and then hold for 5, 8, or 10 years and sell at 90 cents on the dollar, you're going to make a killing, especially if you break even those 7, 8, 9 years. You are thinking correctly. Yes, Airbnb borrowed. Actually, I think they've done it twice now. They borrowed $1 billion. I think they borrowed $1 billion twice. I think once was at 10% and once was at 8%. I think they've gone to the bond market twice now. Oh, Modesto. Yeah, I don't know Modesto at all, so that makes sense. I would think Modesto could do 10%, but again, that's one guy's opinion. I've never looked at the Modesto available inventory. But yeah, again, look at your market, right? What I would ask you is, what does it produce today, right? Today, let's just say it's 8% is average today. Yeah, I would expect 10% in the next 6 to 9 months for sure. Absolutely. But again, look every day. Great book. I think you're talking about my book. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Like my book. Awesome. Thank you. Make sure you put all these nice comments on Amazon and Audible, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have I ever purchased new construction as a rental? There's a good question. No, I haven't. But I'm looking possibly at doing it this time. I suspect, again, given the wave of inventory hitting the MLS today is like 60 or 70% new construction. I am starting to think that there are some builders out there that will be in trouble. The problem is you're going to have to come in with a loan, because these builders, they need the capital. They can't owner finance. But if the numbers get right, I would love to own 2 to 4 new construction houses. I wouldn't, but again, you got to know it. I'm cheap, right? New construction in my market today is like 280 to 320, the kind of product I would look at. Man, I'd want to pick those up for 200, 190 to 200. But I'm going to look. I've never looked there before, but I'm going to look this time. Absolutely. Probably in the winter, right? Because they're all gonna hope that this passes and sells in the summer. I'm gonna go shopping in new construction in the winter, probably around Thanksgiving. Yes, single family homes, tenants pay everything except insurance and taxes. Absolutely. Yeah, single family homes. And there are no silly questions. That's why you're in this group. You get to ask me questions. No silly questions. Yeah, single families, tenants pay all utilities, water, PG&E, gas, garbage, everything. Yeah, yes, I totally agree with you. LLCs are expensive in California, $800, one duplex. I will tell you this, and again, this is not advice, it's not a recommendation. I did not have an LLC for my first 4 or 5 years. Let me make sure that's right. At least 4 years, I didn't have an LLC. I certainly had a wonderful umbrella policy, though. All right. I think I caught up on all the questions. What else is going on out there? Kevin, you buy anything lately? Just picking on Kevin because he's the last name there. So I think what else is going on? So watch lending. Lending is still getting tight. Home equity lines. You see Wells Fargo canceled home equity lines or is not taking apps just like Chase. I think that's going to continue. Really makes me nervous with all these banks sitting across these reserves. They just must have data that we don't see. 7% of mortgages in forbearance. Fannie's thinking like 15 to 25% will eventually be in forbearance. That's not good, folks. That's not good. Forbearance is not the cure-all like we've talked about before. I think interest rates are going to stay low for years. I think unemployment's going to be a problem for years. I think GDP is not going to get back to 2019 levels for a couple of years. This is going to be a slow road, but it'll be trending upward. It won't be the steep curve that we all hope it was, or hope it will be. Again, I don't know. I'm not really a stock market investor, but I can tell you the fact that the stock market's 12% of an all-time high is nuts. I think the Fed is buying ETFs, and I think there's a bunch of rich people trying to trick us. I'm not putting any money in the stock market. You kidding me? That's a joke. Biggest casino ever. How soon do you follow up with the seller if they don't like your initial? Oh, there's a good question. In the beginning, every 4 weeks. every 4 weeks. As this gets worse, probably by August or September, it'll be every 2 weeks. But right now, like I think I did like 11 or 12 offers a couple weeks ago. All of them will be followed up within 30 days if they're not, if they didn't sell some other way. That depends. Like my duplexes, some months is like 300. I think it's every other month. I think my water bill is every other month in Fresno. I could be wrong. Um, but I still have an 18 unit building. That's like almost $1,000. Yeah, water is expensive, especially when you have a lot of yard. Water's expensive. That's why I put in rocks, and I've even done fake grass before. If you guys see my hub, I put fake grass there because I wasn't going to pay that water bill. Damn, expensive. Garbage too. Garbage is expensive, right? That's the big difference between multifamily and single family homes is single family homes, the tenant pays all of it. So even though you can have a duplex, um, let's just say it's a duplex two one, so it's 4 bedroom 2 bath total. A 4 bedroom 2 bath house in my market today might get 1250, where a duplex total might be 1600, right? So delta of 350. But when you take on the added expenses, it's really not that much different. Just got to watch that when you're investing. How do you research the area you want to invest in, drive the area? What I did in my market of Fresno is I looked every day and I networked. I talked to agents, talked to other investors, went to meetups. In the beginning, we would go to Fresno probably twice a month. But again, just like the course says, we picked one area, right? At the time, I picked the Mayfair, which is 93703. We would just drive that one zip code. It was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years before we went into any other area of Fresno. We didn't have time. We didn't know any better. Mayfair kind of felt like what we were comfortable with. I don't like the Mayfair today, but I did like the Mayfair back in 2003, 2004. So again, pick an area. When you go down to Modesto, pick an area so you can spend more time in the area. Don't drive all over because you won't learn anything. Pick an area, drive up and down the streets, go eat at the local restaurants, talk to owners, call for rent signs, get a feel for the area. Go at different times. Go on weekdays, go on weekends, go at nights, go in the mornings. You've got to feel the area. But yes, you can also talk to agents, and you got to cross-validate information, right? When I would go to the Mayfair, I'd go, okay, hey, I like this area. This site feels a little different. I'd talk to a property manager. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? This is what I saw. And again, when you talk to locals, they'll tell you if you're right or wrong. It takes work, but don't get distracted. That's something I see, right? I'm going to invest in Modesto or Fresno. Those are big cities. How can you're going to drive 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get there and then look at everything? No. Pick your area and go. Bakersfield, whew, that's 4 hours away. That's a hell of a drive. I'm actually done. Yeah, I don't know how far Modesto is, but I'm guessing it's closer. Also, I don't know which is bigger. What's bigger between Modesto and Bakersfield? I have no idea. All right, I think I got all the questions. Okay. So, what else is going on? What else can I say? Oh, there you go. Modesto's bigger and it's a 2 hour drive. Again, all else being equal, it's bigger and closer. Seems like the market to look at first. Yeah, Bakersfield's far away. Got to be 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours. Not big enough for me. Merced was a poster child of new housing construction back when they were expanding the university, and then got smoked when they realized that nobody could afford them. Yeah. All right. So again, keep after the course, keep learning your market. You guys are very lucky to be looking at a market that's changing. I look in Clovis. I've only ever owned one thing in Clovis because it's more of an owner occupant and too expensive. It's kind of like the Cupertino of the Bay Area, right? The housing price is here, but rents are here. I look all the time in Clovis, but I've only ever owned one property in Clovis. Yeah, read Michael's book. Thank you. And also leave an Amazon review. All right. I guess with that, we will call it a day. We will again do this next Saturday, 9 o'clock a.m. Or thereabouts every Saturday. I hope everybody has fun. I am going to go work out. Take care. Thanks.